Hey guys, what's going on? Today we are going to be responding to an old video. It's from last year, from Under the Mayo about his Arkham Knight, review. All three videos, since he made an Arkham Origins video, but it spends most of the time talking about Arkham Knight because this game lives rent-free in his head, apparently. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it.
I take no pleasure in writing this script. Part of me is screaming, "Don't do it, just leave it alone." But I
You probably should have listened, I can't lie.
can't. I started this, now I gotta finish it. For years, the Batman Arkham series has been recommended to me by viewers, and I take recommendations seriously. I started an entire series for it, going on 4 years now. This year, I finally got to Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. I did a video covering both of them, and long story short, I thought Asylum was cool, though it lost my attention after 10 hours or so, while Arkham City is one of my favorite games of the year. I'm not even a Batman fan, and I
want you guys to keep what he just said in mind. It'll become important a little bit later on.
was able to fully immerse myself in the Batman experience in Arkham City. Exploring, beating up thugs, solving mysteries, and feeling generally motivated to continue the main storyline despite not being into the Batman mythology myself. If you have not seen my video on the first two games, I recommend you start there before watching this because everything good I have to say about the series is contained in that video. I really liked Arkham City, let me make that clear, and having to make such a strong prelude to this video should tell you exactly where this is going.
It tells me that you're about to ramble on and make nonsensical arguments, I can't lie. Having to front load your entire thing right off the bat isn't a great look for you, I must say.
I've been warned ever since the release of that video that I'm going to struggle with Arkham Knight. Not universally, some of the comments talk about how it has the best combat in the series. I've seen some videos on YouTube showing off what Batman can do, it looked really cool. But a lot more people talked about how much of a downgrade it is and how bad the driving sections are. I wanted to give it a fair shot, just pick it up and play and see where it takes me.
As it turns out, he didn't give Arkham Knight a fair shot. He quit like just over 50% way through the main story and didn't even experience half the content within the game. Not entirely sure how that's a fair shot, but to each their own, I guess? I don't know.
And, well, I'm fucking shocked. I had no idea it could be this bad. Arkham Knight is hands down one of the most irritating, frustrating, and boring games I've played in years. It's not even bad in an interesting way. The whole thing is just wrong. So many people warned me about the driving sections, but no one actually gave me a sense of just how much of the game they take up. They made it seem like an inconvenience, something you have to tolerate and try to ignore. No, I swear half this fucking game is driving the Batmobile.
Normally, I wouldn't criticize someone for saying something's boring because what people find boring is subjective. But he likes Arkham City and said it was one of his favorite games that he played that year. When the combat mechanics and stealth mechanics, the things that you primarily use in Arkham City, are all improved in this game. So it doesn't really make sense how Arkham Knight is one of the most boring games you played this year when all the main mechanics you used in its predecessor, Arkham City, are in this game and improved upon. Not entirely sure how that works. And as for the Batmobile thing, just no. But the 50% Batmobile thing has already been like torn apart to death already. So there's no point in going over it. It's not 50%.
Driving around the streets and fighting tanks. Tank combat, just what you want in a Batman game. Dodging missiles and blowing up 10 tanks in an arena fight, sneaking around Cobra tanks driven by morons that can't hear the Batmobile running over things behind them.
So this next part of his video is basically just him ranting about the Batmobile and whatnot. Fair enough, I guess. Tank combat isn't the most engaging thing in the game, I must say. But saying that it's driven by idiots who can't hear behind them, they aren't manned. They're unmanned tanks. They're driven remotely because Scarecrow in the Arkham Knight wanted to beat Batman when he wasn't holding back, when he's going as far as he can without holding back. Batman always holds back so he doesn't kill anyone. Whatever. We're gonna skip to when he gets off the Batmobile and onto combat and whatnot, because that's just more interesting.
And when the driving sections finally end, you get thrown into melee combat, and it's like whiplash. I can't even remember what game I was playing. What do all these buttons do again? How do I use the environmental attacks? I gotta look it up every time I open the game. Why is it the same button combination as picking up weapons? Why are there more colored indicators to react to? Blue indicators, red indicators, glowing objects, glowing people. Too much crap on screen.
Few things. One, you forgetting what game you're in is a you problem. Same with forgetting what the buttons do. They really ain't that hard to memorize. As for why the environmental takedowns and the weapon pickup is the same button inputs, they both interact with the environment. The only time this would ever become an issue is if you accidentally, grab a weapon you meant to do a environmental takedown, which in my experience has basically never happened for me in Night. Maybe it happened for someone else. Like, you're complaining about an issue that may only come up like once, like maybe every 10 hours you put into the game. I don't know. Yeah, it really isn't that hard. And also, you complaining about the AI, not the AI, but the all the button prompts. You play Doom Eternal. I love Doom Eternal, don't get me wrong. But if Arkham Knight has too many button prompts on the screen and too much stuff going on, I don't know how you love that game so much. Okay, it blows Arkham Knight's button prompts out of the water. I don't know how you play that game if you find Arkham Knight too much to handle.
And why does the combat feel slower compared to Arkham City? Am I imagining things?
Yes.
You're gonna die tonight. You don't stand a chance. I'll bring your face back. I'm gonna break you.
The melee combat just doesn't feel as good to me. I remember when I first picked up City after Asylum and I tried to pick random fights in the street, I got my ass kicked right away and repeatedly. In Arkham Knight, if I pick fights, everyone is just a pushover. I don't know how to describe this in detail, it's just a feeling. I get that it's cool to have more options or different options, but the combat encounters themselves don't seem to really make that feel very satisfying.
My man, if you were struggling with the basic Arkham thugs, that's just a skill issue. If you're having trouble with the random thugs roaming around Arkham City, that's a skill issue. That's not a problem with Arkham Knight or Arkham City. Also, you were saying the combat mechanics aren't satisfying? Oh gee, I wonder why. You were only using the combat mechanics in a stealth section. Oh man.
One thing I loved in Arkham City was how seamlessly they introduced the functionality of your gear into the exploration of the world. The electric gun would open doors, the freeze bombs shut off the steam pipes and could be used to form glaciers on the water, and the grapple would pull you across. You were always engaging with your gadgets, which made me want to use them more in combat because I remembered I had them. I'm not getting that experience in Arkham Knight. Instead, the solution to all these puzzles tends to be find a way to make the car do it.
So, Arkham Knight does the exact same thing. They integrate gadgets into how you progress through the world in levels. Ace Chemicals in the Cloudburst. You have the Batmobile, Panessa Studios voice synthesizer, Stag's airships, the remote hacking device. The list goes on. So what's your problem?
In Arkham City, I felt badass mastering the Batman fighting style. In Arkham Knight, I just want every fight to be over so I can move on.
Once again, that is a you problem, not an issue with Arkham Knight.
But move on to what? The 50th Joker conversation? The next driving sequence? The next side mission that I'm absolutely trying to avoid because there's a 50% chance it involves the Batmobile? I can't even get into the world because, as I've said, I'm not a Batman fan. But Arkham City got me there. It got me interested in the experience, and I liked exploring and interacting with the characters. It felt like an authentic Batman world, fantasy but grounded in a way. Arkham Knight does not feel like a Batman game. It feels more like... oh god, this is gonna get me in so much trouble with people. It feels like Batman porn.
Few things. Okay, your last statement about Arkham Knight is incredibly dumb. When you had the voice in your head telling you not to do it, whatever, you should have listened just because of that statement alone. Also, how you admitted to yourself 2 times now that you're not a Batman fan. So, how are you going to claim something isn't a Batman game when you are not a fan of him? It's like, what's a comic book character I don't know anything about? I don't know, Spawn, right? Let's say a new Spawn game comes out, and I play it, I make a video on it saying, it just doesn't feel like a Spawn game. No one would take me seriously because it's a character I have no idea what I'm talking about. Yeah, your statement about Arkham Knight being Batman is just stupid. I shouldn't need to go into why that just doesn't work.
There's a moment early on when you're rescuing hostages and Batman stops in the middle of the mission to call in an airdrop where he upgrades his suit. And it's this gross, overindulgent scene of, oh yeah, fuck yeah, look at all that sweet gear. Batman's so badass. Never mind the hostages are waiting to be rescued, let's run around doing these VR training missions for the next 20 minutes so we can try out all this radical Batman tech. It's gross. I felt like I needed a shower.
Batman gets the new suit and new tech so he can save the hostages. What? The fact that you're not a Batman fan is really showing if you have a problem with Batman upgrading his suit and gear so he can better handle a situation. It's like part of his character. Oh man. Oh, dude, you can't make this stuff up. And the AR challenges, dude, they're optional. They're there for new players to get some extra practice in with the stealth mechanics. It's a non-issue. Come on, dude.
It's not just Batman being Batman in Arkham City. It's Batman in the newest high-tech gear, man. He's got secret headquarters built all around the city. The Batwing flies in to help him.
You say that it's not just Batman being Batman when upgrading his suit and equipment to handle a situation is one of the most Batman things he could be doing. You really weren't lying. You don't know a lot about Batman, do you? You really don't know a lot about the character. As for the basis thing, that is also in character for Batman to do. He in the comics, in Death of the Family, he was literally going to take Jim Gordon to a bat bunker because Joker threatened his life. So yes, Batman has multiple different bases around Gotham. It's his city for a reason. And as for the Batwing thing, it also helped him in City and Asylum, both games that you played when you recorded this video. So, if you had a problem with it here, do you also have a problem with it in City and Asylum? Because if not, you're just being hypocritical.
He's driving in the Batmobile, shooting tanks, crashing into hundreds of cars and destroying the city and running over people without a care because he's so badass.
Everything you just mentioned is entirely within the player's control. It's so we can have an enjoyable gameplay experience. It's called suspension of disbelief, okay? It really ain't that serious.
I cannot get into this. I'm not saying there aren't things I like. I'm not saying there aren't good combat moments. I enjoyed figuring out some of the scenarios with multiple armed guards. I enjoyed encountering an actual puzzle during the campaign on the blimp. That was cool. It's fun to be able to swing off your grapple and instantly start flying, though it does feel significantly less grounded in Batman's abilities.
You said there was fun combat moments, but the entire time you talked about the combat, you were complaining about it. Your video contradicts you. As for the grapple thing, once again, that's just suspension of disbelief. Like we're supposed to do that so we can have an enjoyable gameplay experience. That's kind of the point. And if you read the upgrades you complained about, you would know that his new suit enables him to have an extra grapple boost. That's all I'm saying, okay?
I had fun here and there, but it was completely buried by dozens of experiences in misery and tedium. I couldn't finish it. I made it halfway into the Harley Quinn section and I gave up. It didn't matter that it was presenting me with more actual combat. I think I just didn't care anymore. I don't want to risk any more side missions involving the Batmobile. I don't care who the Arkham Knight is or what he wants. I don't care to find out how Joker's blood is infecting people with his personality or whatever. I've had it up to here with this ridiculously bloated and unintuitive upgrade system where you can upgrade like 200 things. It's enough! I've had enough!
So you quit on the section that was purely Batman and I guess technically Robin gameplay with no Batmobile gameplay. As for the other stuff, okay, you don't care about the story, whatever. The upgrade thing, how is it unintuitive? It gives you more options. Why is that a bad thing? You just called it unintuitive without explaining why.
This game sucks. I'm gonna drink it out of my memory and just keep Arkham City in my thoughts. Thank you to everyone who warned me about this game. I wish I'd stayed away. And I'm tagging this on at the end because I feel everyone's gonna ask what I thought about the Fear takedown. I think it's a completely unnecessary addition that makes stealth sections way too easy, easier than they already are, since the enemies just seem to not notice you've taken out half their crew. It's stupid that you get it for free, it's stupid that it's so easy to do, I hate it. Bye!
Okay, that video was pretty bad, and I agree with him, he shouldn't have made this video, because it was garbage. Lucky for us, we have 2 more to get through. Oh boy. Also, the Fear multi-takedown thing, dude, it really isn't that big of a deal considering how many people you had to take out in Predator encounters in this game. Like, it really isn't that big of a deal. If it was in City, then sure. But not here. It's not that big of a deal at all.
Hey, so the Arkham Knight video got some interesting reactions. Obviously, it isn't meant to be some deep analysis, it's more of a casual format rage quit video that simply amuses me as a conclusion to my Arkham coverage. Started in the first and much better, more serious video on Arkham Asylum and City, which I both enjoyed. It's been a fun couple of weeks arguing back and forth in the comments, but I have grown tired and I'm ready to move on. Because I feel like I'm repeating myself, and I'd rather just leave this video here as something I can point to as I go on to newer and better things.
Is this guy really trying to damage control? Dude, you made a bad review of a game that you didn't finish. Don't say it's just a rage quit video. It was very much analytical. No. Oh man, but you said you're ready to move on, yet you made this video. Okay, buddy.
Wasn't sure if I should put this on my side channel, Residual Mayo, or put it here and risk annoying the viewers who don't enjoy this kind of drama and just want to see game analysis. Well, ultimately I had to go with putting it on the main channel because the Arkham Knight video was labeled by so many as a rage bait video only done to get clicks, so why not go with that and make some money off this video as well. Click, 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 click. If this doesn't interest you, I invite you to ignore it and check out whatever else is coming out on this channel around this time. So for anyone curious enough to listen to some additional clarification, here it is, and let us never speak of this again. Well, at least not until the end of the year when I do the worst list.
Dude, I don't think anyone gets bored of watching you get debunked on YouTube, trust me. Judging by how many views people get of just responding to you, it's clear that people actually kind of like it.
Number 1, I have heard everyone saying that the car doesn't actually take up a lot of the game. People are throwing all kinds of percentages at me, when the fact is, the first third of the game is stuffed with tank combat. It doesn't matter to me if it evens out later. The amount of car stuff is so ridiculous early on that it soured me on the entire experience.
I'm pretty sure it's been confirmed. There's only maybe an hour worth of Batmobile segments at the beginning of the game, and that's because it's an entirely new gadget at Batman's disposal that has entirely new mechanics and plays completely differently than anything else in the Arkham series. They kinda needed to focus on it towards the beginning so people can learn how to use it properly.
Number 2, I am well aware that the enemy tanks do not have drivers inside and are instead driven remotely, but that has nothing to do with my comment about morons that can't hear behind them.
Then why did you complain about it?
That's just a simple, reductive way of stating how dumb the whole section is, because even if they are driven remotely, that means these futuristic war tanks have no microphones to monitor their surroundings, no cameras behind them or even to their sides, and no sensors behind them, which normal consumer trucks and shipping trucks have had forever. Or they do have all those things and the remote drivers still don't notice.
Once again, that's just suspension of disbelief. It's not that deep.
It feels like you're fighting morons, even if in reality the tanks are either A, remotely driven by morons, or B, designed by morons. It's the same thing to play it. Number 3, my comment about forgetting how to do certain attacks, it's just a casual, funny comment I included about my frustrations with how infrequently the game was putting me into serious combat situations in the first third of the game. It's not meant to be taken so seriously.
You went on a whole rant about how Knight's combat wasn't as challenging or whatever as Arkham City's. What are you talking about? It wasn't meant to be taken seriously. You went on a whole rant about it.
Number 4, I do not finish games I'm having a terrible time with after hours of playing them and enjoying almost nothing about them. I listened to people's criticism before about me sometimes not finishing games I don't like, and I forced myself to finish Deathloop in 2021 to prove the haters wrong. I regret it to this day because the game was shit all the way to the end and only got worse. I'll never repeat that mistake. Game sucks, I quit.
It's perfectly fine to not complete games you don't like, but don't make reviews on games when you haven't even beaten the main story of them. It should go without saying. You're not going to make a good review on something if you didn't even experience the main story to its conclusion, let alone the side quests and all the other content in the game. And then don't try to pass it off as just a joke rage quit video. You're just damage controlling.
Number 5, regarding my comment that the combat felt a lot easier compared to Arkham City. People have pointed out that I'm simply better at the combat after having played the first 2 games, so it feels easier when it's actually the same. And okay, that's a fair point. That most certainly is a factor, but I also felt like I got swarmed by thugs on the street pretty early in Arkham City if I went around picking fights, and the early campaign missions threw bigger, more challenging fights at me. Arkham Knight didn't feel like that, but hey, if I'm wrong on that one, fine. Hell, even getting footage for this video, I was shocked at how much more demanding the opening fight with Catwoman is in Arkham City compared to the early action I came across in Arkham Knight. Even the first fight I picked in the streets had me feeling under pressure. Knight street fights just didn't have that in my experience.
If you're getting pressed by the Catwoman fight at the beginning of the game and the random thugs that are just roaming around Arkham City, that's just a skill issue. As to why it feels a little bit easier in Arkham Knight, well, one, you're just better at the combat. Two, canonically, Batman's just stronger than he was in Arkham City. It's made blatantly clear he was stronger than ever in this game. So, you don't really have a point here. Plus, while you got a bunch of new stuff to play around with in Arkham Knight's combat, the regular thugs didn't get any upgrades. They only got the charge attack, which is basically just gives you a free KO on them, and then their little grab thing, but that just kind of extends your combo if at worst. So it's not really anything to write home about. But yeah, it's not that it's easier. You just have more options in Arkham Knight, and you probably just suck at Arkham City if you're being pressed by Arkham thugs.
Speaking as a casual fan. Number 6, the ability to get the electric gun early on is completely irrelevant to my point about gadget integration in level progression. Arkham City from a very early point had me using gadgets to progress. The electric gun had to be used to open doors. You have to use the grapple to cross the water to get to Penguin. These things happen quite early in the campaign and encourage familiarity with your gear as you're learning how the game plays. In contrast to this, in Arkham Knight, I have made it a third through the game's progression doing campaign and side missions, and it's done a far inferior job of getting me into gadget variety. Level progression seems to be all about the car. And I don't care that there may be gadget integration later on. Too late. The game has already lost me by being 50% tank combat and constant cutscenes for the opening hours.
Like I said, the reason why the Batmobile is prevalent within the first 3 hours of the game is because it's a completely new gadget that has its own set of combat and stealth mechanics that are completely different from anything else in the Arkham series. So yeah, they kind of needed to teach you it. It's not rocket science. And once again, the 50% car thing, yeah, that's wrong. Also, like I said earlier, Arkham Knight also integrates gadgets into your exploration of the world and whatnot, and the level design as well. So you don't really have a point here.
Number 7, calling Arkham Knight a bad game is not something I think anyone should take personally. I'm not going to get into arguments about objectivity versus subjectivity. People can like what they like. But I'm not calling anyone stupid for liking what I think is a bad entry in the Arkham series. I think we all like bad games here and there. Hell, even Redfall has a fan base, and they call you dishonest and a click chaser for calling it bad. I like some bad games too, it's okay, and I'll defend things I think are good about them while still agreeing it's overall bad. I plan on talking about one of those really bad games that I like eventually.
Once again, you said you wasn't gonna get into objectivity versus subjectivity, and then you immediately contradict yourself by starting to talk about objectivity versus subjectivity. Are you serious? Dude. You contradicted yourself 5 seconds after you stated you weren't going to get into objectivity versus subjectivity. How do you contradict yourself that fast?
And finally, the porn point. Many have attempted to convince me that the part where Batman suits up in Arkham Knight is just the same as his suit up moment in City, and it's just not. First, they're contextually different. Cities is about Bruce Wayne becoming Batman. Knights is about Batman getting a bunch of upgrades to make himself more badass. Second, in City he just puts on the suit and moves on to the objective. In Knight, the game pauses to dwell and indulge on every single suit upgrade as if this stuff were important to see. It's just there for fanboys to squeal and scream about how badass Batman's gear is. Third, while City simply moves on to the mission, Night presents you with the option to do a bunch of VR missions to explore your cool new tech while hostages are waiting for you to rescue them. I think it's immersion breaking, and the problem is not resolved by it being optional. Just the existence of VR missions in this exact moment is distracting from how serious the experience feels at this point.
Batman gets the suit upgrade so he can save the hostages. And your point about Arkham City just moving on with the objective, dude, I can make the same argument you made against Knight. You don't have to go straight to the objective. You can freely explore Arkham City as much as you like before going to save Catwoman. I can make the exact same argument you made against Knight. And once again, for the AR challenges, dude, they're just there to get some extra practice in. They're completely optional. It's not that deep.
If you disagree, fine, you can feel how you feel. This is how I feel. And for those who have to compare everything to Doom and insist this overindulgent masturbatory scene is just like Doom Eternal's celebration of Doom Guy's awesomeness, you might have a point if the tone of the Arkham series were anything like the Doom series. The first Doom has a blood-soaked Doom Guy holding the decapitated head of his pet rabbit killed by demons. It's always been silly and over the top. Not every single entry, Doom 3 is dark, but the series started pretty silly. Doom 2016 has silly stuff in it, and Doom Eternal takes it further. The Arkham games present themselves seriously, especially the very dark tone Arkham Knight. And this gross, oh yeah, Batman is so awesome, look at all his sweet gear, just doesn't belong here, in my opinion.
Well, for one, while the Arkham games are more serious than other superhero games, they still have goofy moments. Like in Arkham Origins, there's an entire section after you get the criminal database or whatever, where Mad Hatter's mind-controlled goons literally sing you a song to invite you. Let's not act like this series has no goofy moments whatsoever. And your point about the Batman thing, comparing it to Doom or whatever, I forgot to mention this earlier, but the reason why it goes into detail about the upgrades is because they become important later on. They directly affect how you play the game, because they add stuff like the Fear multi-takedown, multiple grapnel boosts, the Batmobile eject, this is all stuff that impacts the gameplay. So yeah, unlike what you said earlier, it kind of is important. So you don't have a point here.
And look, all the proof you need to see that this sequence in Arkham Knight is bizarrely overindulgent and off-putting to someone who doesn't touch themselves to Batman is to look at the duration of these two sequences, timing it from the moment they open the capsule to suit up to the moment when the player finally takes control. It takes Arkham City's sequence only 36 seconds to reach the end. Want to guess how long it takes Arkham Knight to suit up and get through all the gushing over his gear? Close to 2 minutes, 1 minute and 42 seconds. Case closed.
The reason why it's longer is because it's explaining the upgrades. That's why it's so much longer compared to Arkham City. It's explaining the upgrades Batman got that you said were not important. Dude, did you play the game?
That's all I have to say about it. My Arkham Knight video is not rage bait, but it is a video that causes rage. There is a difference. I don't make things in a specific way to cause rage.
Okay, that's pretty much the end of his second video. Luckily for us, we have one more. It's an Arkham Origins review, where he talks about Arkham Knight more than Origins. So this should be interesting.
I didn't expect to play Arkham Origins for a while. After Arkham Asylum, City, and Knight, all in a few months, followed by the entire Church of Arkham Knight having it out for me, I was ready for a little break. Some time away from the Batman. Because I loved Arkham City, and I worried that maybe part of my dislike of Arkham Knight was due simply to burnout. All these games play the same, and they're quite long. That's not an insult, but maybe I was just over the Arkham style of gameplay by the time I played Arkham Knight. Maybe the burnout blinded me to the greatness of that game. It's certainly possible.
This doesn't age well.
But here I am, playing Arkham Origins already. And, well, I gotta say, I'm fucking shocked. I had no idea it could be this good. Hot damn, this might even be better than Arkham City. The combat, the new enemy types, the tone, the look, the pacing, the story and character interactions, and the total lack of the Batmobile sections made Origins a pleasure to play.
We're only like 2 minutes into this video and he's already bringing up the Batmobile. This should be fun.
So we can toss the burnout excuse in the trash right next to Arkham Knight, because I thoroughly enjoyed Arkham Origins. It wasn't burnout, all I needed to do was play a game that doesn't suck balls. I even finished it, can you believe it? All it took was a great game, and not a boring tank simulator.
You know, for a Arkham Origins review, you sure seem to be talking about Arkham Knight a lot. I'm just saying.
I mean, listen, I personally did some calculations, and did you know that the Batmobile sections in Arkham Knight take up 87% of the entire game? That's just too much, man. And it makes me not want to see a car for the rest of my fucking life.
Mayo, you do realize this video was titled as an Arkham Origins review, not a part 3 to your Arkham Knight hating series. Like, can you talk about Arkham Origins and not Knight for 5 seconds, dude? Come on, man.
And let's get this out of the way right now. Before I get into Origins, something must be clarified. There will be many things I praise in Arkham Origins that I fully admit could be present in Arkham Knight, most notably the high level of gadget integration and the progression of missions. Arkham Origins has even better integration of gadgets and abilities in the early game than Arkham City. 2 bat claws on the grates, and the second one doesn't tell you what to do, so you have to remember. 2 explosive gels, an early armored guard to teach you about the cape stun, an early door that gets you to do multiple fast batarangs. They get you into Batman's toolset early, and they consistently build on it. I complained that Arkham Knight's missions in the opening hours, one after another, were just about figuring out a way to make the car do something for you, when what I really wanted was for the missions to make me use the Batclaw, Batarangs, Slide, etc. It's a good way to keep your abilities on the mind of a new player as they're learning the game. It's good game design. Arkham City does this well, Arkham Origins does it better. But Arkham Knight, like I said, was front-loaded with hours of tank combat and puzzles involving the car.
Like I've already said, the reason why there's so much Batmobile in the opening hours of Knight is because it's a completely new gadget that has its own set of mechanics, completely different from anything else we've seen in the Arkham series. I've already said this, and many other people have told you this. You just don't listen.
When I pointed this out as a criticism, I was told by many that Arkham Knight has those exact kinds of missions that I was asking for, just later in the game. If I hadn't quit, I would have seen the very thing I was complaining was missing. And yeah, but that's my point. The first act of Arkham Knight is so stuffed full of miserable car stuff that it soured me on the whole experience. Car puzzles and tank battles in the campaign missions, car chases in the side missions, car races in the side missions, more tank battles. I couldn't take it anymore.
Criticisms with the tank combat is valid. It's not, nearly as engaging as combat with Batman. But what's wrong with the racing sections in the car chases? They're fun. I don't understand why. I don't understand what's the problem with them. They don't even happen that often. Like the tank combat, sure, but I don't see a point you can make about the races, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Whatever goodness there is in Arkham Knight that comes later, it's too late. I'm not sticking around anymore. So this is me, right now, saying that every time you hear me say something good about Arkham Origins that also applies to Arkham Knight, don't bother pointing it out. Because my response is gonna be, yeah, but the car stuff in the first act ruined the game, so I don't care.
So in other words, you're damage controlling because you don't want people to point out how wrong you are. Okay, buddy.
Now, I will also mention, before getting into my thoughts, that I'm aware this game launched in a horrible state. Even now, the game has some glaring technical issues, and I can't imagine how bad it was when it came out. I understand that soured a lot of people on the game, and I'm not here to tell them that they're wrong for feeling that way. However, I didn't have that experience. I played the game as it is now, and that game is quite good. While I did have a few moments where I got stuck in the geometry and had to restart, or suddenly had a button just not work anymore, these moments were rare, and most of the bugs I saw were crazy physics reactions that made me laugh, or the occasional audio bug, or an enemy just randomly teleporting. Certainly not enough to lower my opinion of the game overall. Origins was not made by the studio that made the other games. They apparently weren't given as much time as they would have liked to finish it, but what they did accomplish in that time is stellar. Origins uses Arkham City's map and builds upon it in interesting ways. I saw a lot of places I either didn't remember or were actually new, and I think I prefer the look of the city in this game. The snowy Christmas time environment really sets this game apart from the others and makes old areas feel fresh, and I really enjoyed flying around, taking in the sights. It's a beautiful game.
There's another really good looking game that you constantly crap on in this video, even though this video is about Arkham Origins and not Knight. That's all I'm saying, dude.
Tonally, it's darker than City, evidenced right away by the difference in menu design, Origins having a black and white menu with red Christmas lights in the background. The dark menu tells you that you're in for a thematically darker experience than Arkham City. But it doesn't go so ridiculously far into darkness like Arkham Knight, which was just black, dark, and serious. Grr, Batman!
Wasn't your whole rant about Arkham Knight earlier in the videos was so that way you didn't have to bring it up again? Why are you already bringing up Arkham Knight again? This is an Arkham Origins video. And your Batman Grr thing was just cringe. So, you know, please do not do that.
I remember being put off immediately by that menu before even playing the game, and it was definitely a clear signal of the Batman porn to come.
I'm sorry, if the menu of a game is throwing you off, I don't know what to tell you. That's just a you problem, and you really tripled down on the Batman porn point. Are you serious, dude?
The story was actually quite interesting to me. As someone who's not big into Batman as a character, Arkham Asylum and City were stories that I found a little difficult to get into. Those games are for the Batman fan already into the Batman world. Arkham Origins tells the story of an early Batman, much like the Robert Pattinson film. Batman is out on Christmas Eve while there's a bounty out on his head, and we're introduced to a list of killers that I'm personally unfamiliar with because I don't know the comics, but they were pretty cool characters to go against, instead of the typical Penguin, Harley Quinn, Two-Face, the usual suspects. However, Bane gets a lot of screen time here, I enjoyed that, and I really like how the Joker is portrayed. He just goes wild, we really get to see the chaos he can unleash, and the cinematics with him are truly exciting. I very much enjoyed the conflict of Batman dealing with Commissioner Gordon, him dealing with a corrupt police department, and not wanting to trust this new vigilante running around breaking the law. But the real star of the show is actually Alfred, showing unconditional support to Batman, but also trying to get him to not push himself so hard, as this is still the boy he spent his life taking care of.
Everything you said about Arkham Origins here is correct, but I'd just like to point out how he didn't even bother going into the narrative of Arkham Knight. Like, he makes like decent reviews for things that he likes, but when it comes to games he doesn't like, he just makes terrible ones where he rants about the menu, how it throws him off. You know, it's just kind of funny. It's just something I noticed.
The best moments of the game are when Alfred is pouring his heart out and laying out some hard truths Batman doesn't want to hear.
Master Bruce, stop! Master Bruce! Bruce, I will not in good conscience allow you to go. You're outmatched by these assassins. What? You're not some hardened vigilante. You're a young man with a trust fund and too much anger. You're in over your head, and I don't want this to be your end.
You can see how much he cares, and for me, as someone who doesn't look that deeply into Batman, this is the first time I've seen the character of Alfred shown to be so interesting. I think I connected more with Batman this time than I did in the other games, probably because this feels like a better introduction to him and his conflict. He's truly struggling to find his place in the world, establishing himself as a vigilante to be respected. The voice performance is also excellent, and I highly prefer this version of Batman that strings people up or drops them into a Christmas tree over the dark, brooding monster that crushes people's heads under the giant tires of his personal tank.
Batman doesn't crush anyone's heads with the Batmobile. He threatens to do so. It's intimidation. He never goes through with it. Also, if you want an in-universe reason as to why Batman's taking extreme measures here, he has the Joker in his head influencing him. So, that also plays a part in it.
Moving on to villains, Black Mask sets himself up as a strong and mysterious villain early on in the story, before the reveal of his identity, and I was honestly pulled into the mystery. The detective sections had me interested in putting the story together, far more than Arkham City did. Moments like the side quest helicopter crash, reconstructing the scene in Batman's holographic vision, and discovering that Deathstroke took it down with a single ricochet bullet, this stuff is all great. Though I will admit that I'm not a fan of the concept of holographic reconstruction. I think the technology is way too powerful to be believable, especially at a time when Batman is still using CRT televisions in the Batcave.
That was Deadshot, not Deathstroke. And your point about the detective vision, sure, whatever. I don't have a problem with it, but fine.
But whatever, it's fine, I guess. While I do think the villains are well introduced, the actual fights, sometimes I liked them, sometimes not. They lean too much on QTEs sometimes, or going through scripted sequences. There's certainly nothing as good as Mr. Freeze from Arkham City.
Personally, I like the Deathstroke boss fight almost as much as the Mr. Freeze one. But to his credit, he does go a decent bit here without talking about Arkham Knight. That changes in a few seconds, so let's skip to that.
The upgrade system in Arkham Origins actually has the polar opposite problem that I said Arkham Knight has. Whereas Knight's skill tree was overwhelming and insane, Origins is painfully linear.
Arkham Knight skill tree gives you more options. Once again, how is that a problem? I don't see how that's an issue. Also, yeah, I agree. Arkham Origins skill tree is too linear. They should give you more options. Kind of like what Arkham Knight does.
Forcing you to upgrade your health and armor to unlock the more interesting combat options. And while it's great to have a bunch of challenges to get extra points, and I'm not against locking certain upgrades behind the completion of those challenges, the challenge lists in the Dark Knight system must be completed in order, which takes away the ability for some of them to just occur naturally during gameplay. You gotta say, okay, what's next on the ordered list, and then go do it. It sucks. Arkham City continues to have the best upgrade system of the series. Back to the positive, the pacing of Arkham Origins is also much more to my personal preference. Open world games aren't really my thing, though I do enjoy them from time to time. Depends on my mood. But generally, I don't like when a map is just filled to the brim with things to do. I get a little overwhelmed, but that's just me. And I've heard that Origins map is kinda empty and basic compared to City and Night. But really, I didn't mind it. I don't enjoy feeling like I'm being pulled in so many directions at once. Origins had just enough going on to pique my interest in exploring side content, though relative scarcity of side missions actually made them more attractive to pursue, me explico? Investigating crime scenes, following the clues, tracking down killers, I got into it. I took my time before getting back to the main missions. But I will admit, it kinda takes away from the seriousness of the situation. If all these assassins are out there putting innocent people in danger, shouldn't that be the focus?
Almost like side missions are optional, that you can do after the main story anyway, so you don't really have a point here.
I'm here solving random crimes in the street, so I guess it's not that big of a deal, right? I remember that feeling I had in Arkham City and Arkham Knight, where there were just so many moments of, hey, look at this, hey, there's something over here, hey, this character wants to talk to you. I ended up ignoring a lot of it in City just to follow the campaign, and I tried to do more side stuff in Arkham Knight just to end up driving the fucking car more, so I quit.
So, Arkham City and Arkham Knight having good side mission integration is a bad thing? What? Also, dude, all of 3 side missions in Arkham Knight primarily use the Batmobile. It's not used that much throughout the side missions outside of 3 of them.
But here in Arkham Origins, because of this great pacing, I actually wanted to follow this Anarchy character and see what he's up to. I went and rescued that cop hanging over the electrified pond, and when I found out that Deathstroke shot down the helicopter, I followed him to bring justice.
Once again, that's Deadshot, not Deathstroke. A simple Google search could have told you that.
I'm glad I did, because the Deathstroke mission was the best mission of the entire game for me. He's walking around and aiming his ricochet tracking laser surrounded by guards with a hostage in the center. Everyone has guns, and you gotta take everyone out before you attack Deathstroke, and when you do, he calls for reinforcements. More armed guards rush in to swarm your position, and then if you take them out, a signal jammer comes in. Deathstroke is constantly making things difficult for you, and once he takes a bunch of damage, he runs over to the hostage, threatening to kill him. If he sees you or even senses you're near, he'll blow him away. I failed this mission dozens of times. It was really hard. I'm playing on the hard difficulty like I typically do. I died a lot, the hostage died a lot. It was very challenging, and
Okay, well, I mean, if you're constantly playing on the hard difficulty, I can kind of see why you struggled so much with the Batmobile.
it took me forever, and that's not a complaint. I loved the trial and error process, getting punished hard for my mistakes, and coming up with a winning strategy. Eventually, I had the bright idea to set explosive charges by the entrance after taking out the first wave of soldiers before attacking Deathstroke. I went at him with a couple beat-down stun attacks, and when the reinforcements came in, I detonated all the charges to knock him down, giving me just enough time to get another couple rounds of beatdowns on Deathstroke, triggering his hostage-taking phase, but without actually killing the reinforcements. So the signal jammer didn't come in for the third wave. Then I snuck up on Deathstroke and took him down. Fantastic side mission, with a great build-up surrounding the downed helicopter mystery. Did Arkham Knight have any side missions close to this level of greatness?
Yes, it did. My personal favorite side mission in the game is the perfect crime thing. Or I forget what it's called. The one with Mr. Pig, or the Professor Pig. That one's really good. That's probably my favorite one in Arkham Knight. There's others too, but that's the main one that I really like.
I played one of the Two-Face bank robbery missions, and that was cool. Not nearly as good as this, but maybe they get more complex later on. I wouldn't know, because, car.
You don't even use the car for Two-Face's side mission in Arkham Knight. What are you talking about?
Anyways, another big reason I enjoyed going after the side content was Origins' addition of the fast travel system. Brilliantly, they allow you to call the Batwing to fly you to different parts of the city, but there are only a few points you have access to, so it's not like the game invalidates all the flying around and exploring on your own. You can liberate more fast travel points later on if you choose to, but I mainly stuck to the ones that were already unlocked and then flew around the rest of the way, cause it's fun. It was also super smart of them to use the rendered cutscenes as loading screens, making the transition feel natural every time. So yeah, fast travel, slowly dishing out side content, great character motivation and conflict, combined with the excellent pacing of campaign missions, frequently utilizing Batman's gadgets and requiring curiosity and problem solving, Origins just kept my attention. A couple new enemy types also shake things up a bit. The karate dudes are a real nuisance, requiring double tap of the parry button when they attack, and they also counter you several times if you attack them. Add in the fact that they're resistant to combo takedowns, and you have yourself someone quite difficult to deal with in large groups. And for me, I couldn't tell if I was coming up against a karate guy while in Predator Vision, so I was caught by surprise. In a way, they felt like an anti-Predator Vision enemy type, which was cool. You want to use Predator Vision to identify guys with guns, but then it's hard to identify karate guys. Cool decision-making based design. Shield guys feel a lot more vicious this time around, and I don't know if I'm imagining it, but they gave me a hard time. Especially when combined with the Bonitos, charging at you across the screen, and you have to beat them down or use a combo takedown to unplug their venom. When you put these guys in a room with shield guys, things get uncomfortable real fast. The added enemy variety takes Arkham City's great combat encounters and just makes them flat out better, and more interesting and tactical. Does Arkham Knight have this kind of challenging and fun enemy variety? Car.
Yes, Arkham Knight still does have great and fun enemy variety. You wouldn't know because you only got like halfway through the main story. But yes, it does. And if you want to add in the tanks that you keep bringing up, then it has way more than any other of the Arkham games. So, thanks for proving my point for me, I guess.
As for the combat itself, what more can be said? It's Arkham combat. We all know how it works by this point. It's great. Really, the only thing I can point out is the degree of challenge presented by the fights themselves. And luckily, the early game is suitably difficult. Just like Arkham City, diving right away into street fights demands that you actually pay attention. Unlike Arkham Knight, where I felt like I could play rather sloppy and stupid and get away with it. Yeah.
You're just over-exaggerating the difficulty of early game Origins and City. And the reason why Knight seems easier is because 1, you just got better at the combat. 2, it's because Batman canonically is stronger than he was in City, and you have more options, while the random thugs didn't. So, they didn't get any upgrades aside from the grab, which extends your combo, and the charge attack, which you can instantly knock them out with a Batarang. Not to mention, fights in Arkham Knight, like late game Arkham Knight, blow the late game fights of Origins and City out of the water. So, yeah.
Yes, I've heard the game gets more difficult later on. Car.
Why do you keep blaming everything on the Batmobile? You're just damage controlling.
There is one thing I don't like, and that's the addition of the shock gloves. They're cool, I loved them at first, but dude, they charge way too fast, even if you're playing really badly on the hard difficulty, and when activated, they trivialize the entire game, turning it into a button masher. It's lame. Every time I activated it, I felt guilty about it because I was ruining the game. And it's not like the combat suddenly becomes balanced for this ability, it's just, hey, hit the instant win button. Yes, you can ignore it.
The shock gauntlets, while yes, they're overpowered, they aren't an instant win button. You can still get hit plenty of times if you're not paying attention, if you're getting too carried away, just mashing the attack button. I've done it multiple times. It's not an instant win, you still have to pay attention.
And yes, I did ignore it, because sometimes I didn't want to sabotage the fun I'd been having for 3 days at that point. But come on, it's right there, screaming at me from the middle of the screen. Activate me! Turn on your shock gloves, Batman! And then I just do it, because the game has this message telling me to, and then I regret it. I wish there was more to them than just activating and now you bypass every enemy defensive tactic in the game. You go through shields, you hit karate guys, you don't have to stun big guys anymore. Just mash, mash, mash. I don't like it.
Once again, well, yes, I agree that they shouldn't bypass every defense the enemies have in the game. It's also, you're not going to be able to just mash your way through every enemy encounter. You're going to keep getting hit because you're not paying attention to the enemies. Like, you're going to get, if you get carried away, you're going to be punished for it. You might not lose because of it, but you're going to be taking a lot of damage that you otherwise wouldn't have.
Maybe if it took a lot longer to get, but as it is now, you get it automatically even in the simplest of encounters. That's probably my only serious criticism of Arkham Origins now that I think about it, the gloves and some of the boss fights. But I really enjoyed this game. I loved feeling like Batman. The pacing of the experience was well done. The side content was satisfying. And it was nice to not be running over pedestrians at 120 miles an hour, crashing into everything, destroying millions of dollars of public property without a care in the world.
Everything you just mentioned is entirely within the player's control and is only there so we can have a fun time using the Batmobile. You want to know what it's like if we have a car that can't do any of that? The Gotham Knights motorcycle. That's all I need to say.
Oh, and you know what was a great improvement over Arkham City? Those damn notifications I complained about in my first Batman video. They still pop up in the middle of the screen, which is annoying, but if you complete a challenge during combat, Origins makes it so that they don't show up until the fight is over. Wonderful change.
You want to know what game also does that? Arkham Knight.
I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I want to thank the viewers who sent me on this Arkham journey. I got to appreciate what Arkham Asylum meant to longtime Batman fans as a love letter to that fan base. I got to live the Batman experience in Arkham City, taking down famous villains and defending the innocent. I got to see the beginning moments of crime fighting, establishing the character as a force for good in a world not ready to accept him. And I got to witness the utterly bizarre pants shitting of hypersensitive masturbating fanboys when I pointed out that their Batman porn game, full of shitty tank sections, was actually a pretty disappointing entry in the series.
What a fitting way to end off the saga, with a quadruple down on his bad point. Well, I'm going to end the video here. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.